Hello and welcome to the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. And joining me right here today is Phil Gregory. Phil, how are ya?
Oh, great, Kayden. Thank you very much. Very good indeed.
That is so good to hear. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about you and how you got started in your musical journey?
Oh, wow. Okay, my musical journey certainly goes back a long way because I'm a retired 66-year-old who's been got back into music more recently, having been away for over 30 years. Yeah, kind of started when I was a kid. My parents listening to the radio, so lots of early country influences from people like Jim Reeves and others. So artists that probably most of your audience won't know, but yeah. So then growing up with older sisters who were listening to the Beatles and the Stones and the Kinks and others, I was surrounded by music. Uncles and aunties that played pianos and guitars. So yeah, there's always music around me. I loved it from a very young age, and kind of pursued it as a teenager and into my early 20s, but could never make enough money to pay the mortgage, as they say. So ended up having to get a real job, and then kind of moved away from it after a long time. So yeah, I got into it at a young age, and yeah, I love it as much to this day.
Absolutely, and you really do have a good point. Music does kind of have its own way of doing things, and sometimes it just doesn't pay the bills, so you have to get another job.
I would think there's more people getting other jobs than there are
hmm
making fortunes. That's for sure. But there's more people making great music than there is making fortunes, which is a good thing. It's good news.
It is, absolutely. Phil, if you had the opportunity to do a collaboration or duet with any singer in the world, who would you choose and why?
Ooh, I think I'd choose McCartney, just because I just think he's the greatest melody writer I've ever heard. Um, but if it was a country star, I'd go for someone much younger. So either Luke Combs or Thomas Rhett.
Thomas Rhett is the one I haven't heard in a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
so there you
he's
go.
he's he's some guy.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So why don't you tell us a little bit about any upcoming projects or any singles you got coming up?
Okay, well, a new single's out. Been out for about a month or so now. It's called "Moving On"
hmm
or "Moving On." It's from an EP that I released in July called "22 Not Out," and it's my second release in the last 3 years. It's been delayed for quite some time. As dear old pandemic has taken care of studios and musicians and travel bans and all those kind of things. So yeah, so 22 Not Out is out at this moment in time. It's a 6-track EP, and the new single "Moving On" is from that EP and is doing okay, doing okay.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. And by the way, I had a chance to listen to that, and I really loved it. It was really, really good.
Wow, that's great to hear. That's fantastic to hear. You must listen to a lot of country music, so
Yes.
it's a real treat for me to hear that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you really appreciate everything that we do and you had some like I said, I appreciate, that you appreciate my stuff and you appreciate yours. So
Good stuff.
it is really, really good stuff. So Phil, do you have any advice to those who might want to start singing but doesn't really know how to get their foot in the door?
Um, well, I guess more about music in general. I think firstly, be true to yourself. Um, don't get into the business thinking that you're going to be an overnight success, because you very likely won't be, and then you get very disappointed in yourself. So I would just say, just remain enthusiastic about it, enjoy it more than anything else. Don't look to make a fortune. It's, as I say, it probably kills more musicians than it does give them inspiration. That's for sure. So it gives them ulcers rather than inspiration. So I say, yeah, just be true to yourself. Stick to the stuff you love. Enjoy it. Be as creative as you can. And from a singing perspective, you've got to practice. You've got to learn. You've got to find your spot. Find what you're good at. We can't all be as good as some of the artists that you listen to. That's for sure. Some people are just naturally brilliant singers, but everybody can sing. They just got to find their point.
For sure, for sure. And you don't really want to copy anyone else anyway, because, it doesn't define the true you. And I don't think a lot of people would like that necessarily, because a lot of people look for the inside of your heart and, what you can actually do yourself, not try to copy somebody else that's already successful.
Yeah, yeah, particularly in country music where lyrics and are so personal. Everybody's life's played out in a country song somewhere.
Hmm.
So I always think that unfortunately the North Americans particularly have an accent which is
Hmm.
so appealing to country music. I always wonder what kind of the likes of me, a British artist who lives half his life in South Africa, how that comes across. So I always envy the North American accent when I'm listening to great country music. But I am what I am. So this is a very British country sound in the sense that my accent and my vocals are very very distinctly British. So they're a little bit different.
Certainly, certainly. So, where do you see you in your music in the next couple of years? Where do you want to be, Phil?
Oh, look, ideally, right, the greatest country song that's ever been written, but I'm not sure that's going to happen just yet. But you should keep plugging away at it. I'm in the studio next week. I'm very lucky, very fortunate enough to be retired and able to spend some time, a lot of time writing and recording. So yeah, I'll go on writing and recording and producing some music all the time I can now. I was too long away from it, and I really missed it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's so stimulating writing and recording. It's just my happy place, that's for sure. So I'm just going to carry on writing and recording. I work with some younger musicians, younger guys, some co-writers sometimes, and they really inspire me to keep going. And as I say, I'm 66 years old, and I'm going to keep going until I figure that I'm not enjoying it, and or people aren't enjoying it. So I'm heading as far as I can go.
Mm-hmm. That's the best you can do. Like you said, you're retired and you got all the time in the world now. So,
Yeah, so they say, yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
So, if someone was to write a song about you or something that has occurred in your life, what do you think that they would write about, Phil?
Oh, probably the fact that I drink too much, gamble too much, and probably a little bit obsessive and over passionate. so, so it's probably got lots of great topics for country music. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, hey, as long as you're not over obsessive about things too much, then there's no wrong in there. I gotta say that, you do
Yeah,
what you love.
I guess I've grown out of the pointy end, so it's I've aged okay, I think,
There you
in
go.
terms of my habits, anyway.
Do you have a message to those who might be watching, listening, or any of your fans, Phil?
Just thank you so much for listening. To be honest with you, I mean, for me, it's this whole distribution of music through the internet, is just a mystery in many ways. I was brought up with vinyl and tapes and CDs, and when you flog them on the set on the stage. So this is just amazing that people all over the world can get to listen to my music, and I just find it fascinating, and I just want to say thank you because yeah, it's something I didn't think was going to happen. So just yeah, very very grateful. Carry on listening, and hope that you continue, or the people that are listening to it continue to enjoy it. I really do.
Fantastic. Phil, where can people find you on social media if they want to keep up with what you're doing?
Okay, you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm not on Twitter at the moment. I'm more of a twatter than Twitter, I think. It's just an age thing, but yeah. So Instagram and Facebook, you can follow me on there, and obviously my music's on all the major platforms. So whatever you listen to, whatever you subscribe to, you'll find it.
Fantastic. Phil, is there anything that I forgot to mention that you would like to mention today?
No, nothing at all. Yeah, it's just been great talking to you. I really enjoyed it. Hope that you'll get a chance to put this out and let people hear the new single, and go and have a look at the new EP and even the album that came out in 2019. So if you haven't listened to all of those things, then please take the time to do so. And I really appreciate your time in exposing some of my songs. It really is great.
It is totally my pleasure. And again, I would like to thank Phil Gregory for taking the time to come on the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. We really do appreciate your time.
You're great. Thank you so much, Kayden. I really appreciate it. Take care.